Welcome, everybody. So, as just kind of maybe a departure point, first of all, Sophia and Willow and I worked together at the women's seminar, and that's really how we became the sisters that we are, along with a number of other people who are in the room. And all of you, many of you, are good friends and teachers and troublemakers and a few other categories, so we want to just welcome you for taking the time. And also just know that this particular evening is born really out of some little local curiosity about what exactly it is that we do at the women's seminar every September. And we've held it at Omega 2 years in a row, and we come back kind of always in a state of disarray and a little bit in a state of awe, like what was that? What just happened? And so there's some beautiful quality related to the feminine that is unpredictable, deeply unmanageable, and has a very enlivening quality.
The witness, that observes, is the masculine, the non-changing aspect of all of our beings. So the part of you that's looking at us right now, that I don't know why I love this example, is remember the first time that you remember getting your picture taken. And if you can just remember that first photograph, what you felt like, what everything, and then just take a moment to feel that it's the exact same one. Your body's changed, you're in a different circumstance, your emotional things have changed. So that observer, the unchanging, absolute, infinite openness that is, as an activity brought into this moment, is masculine. The feminine is everything else. Everything that appears, everything that you see, everything that you smell, every sensation that you notice or don't notice. So let's bring a little bit of the feminine in and just feel the color of the seat you're sitting on from your butt cheeks. So there we go. How did the feminine come up? A little bit of embarrassment because we started feeling. Please. Yeah.
You know, it seems the progression is from delusion and attachment to the world to the witness beyond the world, which is masculine, which therefore would be better. I'm wondering if there's a hidden misogyny in some sense, you know, in that sort of sense that the feminine is seen as lower. And I think I was reading today in traditional Tibetan, the word woman means, the literal translation is born lower. Is that a problem?
No. Well,
just one quick thing. I would just have us notice too, not so much the problem of the hidden misogyny, but the problem of the bias against suffering and sin. That somehow to me, that's where the bias gets interesting, is because that's precisely what we're talking about, is that there's a movement away from certain embodied aspects of being human, and suffering is certainly one of them, and sinning is another one, in the sense of if sinning means to miss the mark, that we're all fumbling and making mistakes and erring and falling down and looking ridiculous, and that there is some impulse in us to want to separate from that. So for me, what's interesting is noticing that bias, if that makes sense.
So the preference for either or is the problem, not the...
Precisely. Yeah, that somehow not sinning is preferable, that not suffering is preferable, that real kind of ascending kind of quality that if we could purify enough, if we could get still enough, if we could see clearly enough, we wouldn't have to be caught in the mess.
There are male-y constructed bodies and there are femininely or female-y constructed bodies in this room, which your body is also your consciousness, so it makes a blending of a kind of an energetic field right now. But as soon as we start talking about masculine and feminine, it's like, are we talking about man or woman, da-da-da-da-da. So those are just two of the terms for you to feel out as we're speaking, and see if you can find what we're referring to as we refer to masculine and feminine, female and male. That's very distinct, and that brings up a lot of social realities and the identity of people, how we identify each other in groups or not.
Social and political realities.
Social and political realities, which a lot of our wounds come from that domain of even addressing this subject. So I think there's a shyness for all of the above reasons. And, well, that's...
You're telling me then that I'm both? You're saying that I'm all a phenomena and I'm also the witness? Masculine and feminine together? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Of course. They're inseparable. How could we separate the witness from phenomena from the witness? How could we possibly do that? And then inside of that, inside of all that we are, the masculine and feminine together, then we get to play with their separation, which is kind of fun. Yeah? And we get to play with their separation not only as men and women, not only as the spectrum of gendered beings that we are, but we also get to play inside of our deepest identification with space and its penetration. We get to play inside of that as well. So, lots of different definitions. Yeah. So I am the witness, and I am all things that are witnessed.
Yeah, so everybody changes in every single moment, and I'm just going to bring out one because it's very important, because we all have a yearning that has a tendency in any given moment. And insight, if you're yearning, if you have wanted ahas all your life, you've wanted to understand, you know, you've wanted ahas, when you are really in a moment of lacking an understanding of the feminine, you want an insight relative to it, because that's where we'll all go, like to our strongest point. And yet, you know, actual relating and the context of this evening is the feminine, which is experience without answer. Yes, exactly. Experience without answer. I hope you got that on the camera.
He went, I don't want it.
Experience without answer. Now, some of us pretend that there's an answer. No, I mean, I tend more in the feminine dimension, just by my preference, is that I need to feel before anything else. And that's what I started doing even in the evening. Thank God there's so many people here that we flesh out more experience, but just relative to acknowledging that if your preference is insight, you want insight relative to the feminine, when the feminine calls for experience, to know.
But also, let me add just a little something to what she's saying, is that actually sometimes it's a habituated preference. Because energy, what he was saying is he doesn't want to know that, but when she pointed to it in him, his whole face lit up. So we may have the habit that that's our preference because that's what's familiar, but actually our life force is moving in it. See, like right now, there it is. You know, it's like that's the feminine moving. She's moving right now. And actually, what I feel when I look at you is I feel the habituation of the masculine, and I feel the aliveness of her moving in you right this moment. So there's a strong frame, a strong way of carrying, but within that there's something that's unknown happening, which is gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't you think? And that's the other thing, like, it's just so irritating women notice those details. Love your shoes. God, your face is so cute. You look so good. You know, it's like we do that. And it's just like, you know, what, by noticing, you actually bring something into being, right? The very fact of gazing upon anybody, you bring them more fully into being. That's a feminine quality. That's what we do, you know? We've basically come to the conclusion that the cutting edge of feminine development at this phase in our time and place and culture is basically the slumber party. You know, and basically you kind of hang around and have a little something to eat and praise each other and do each other's hair and talk about boys and then do some crazy thing like levitate somebody. Did you ever do that? Yeah. That we should do it tonight. We're going to levitate somebody. You guys